Here we go. I got the music going. Steve saw it. Hi there. Sorry for the rough beginning, listeners. You know, it's live broadcasting, so we're at the whim of the internet. I'm here with Steve from Key Largo Comics. Say hi, Steve.
Hey, how are you?
Great. I was wondering if you were still there. Whenever originally with the live podcasting, I would get a call from one of the four people that were listening, and they said, "Jim, I can't hear you. I can't hear anything." Right, and then I start sweating.
Right.
Yeah, but that was over 290 episodes ago, or 280 episodes ago.
Pro.
Well, I'm a pro at screwing up, Steve. So I've learned how to fuck up so much in the time, but I'm not worried about it as much because I have my body of work. My continuum of fucketry, of bad broadcasting. The people, I mean, some of the guys, friends of mine who are in broadcast, the radio, they don't quite get why I want to do this because I don't have perfect diction. I may do a little and on, but that's what I do. I think I'm better than I was in the beginning. So I'll let people be the judge of that. And actually, there's a quantifiable way to check it by just listening to one of today's podcasts and listen to the one a little over 3 years ago.
Right.
So, Steve, you had I had updated you on my medical stuff. I did a special show on my medical journey. I have a tumor that I need removed from behind my jaw. So I won't dwell on that. It's actually progressing. They actually scheduled the surgery. It's in late July. And you know what's so funny? Yeah. What I'm going to tell. I was getting wrapped up in this thing, benign, malignant, and stuff like that. Chances are it's probably going to be benign. Right?
Okay,
but they're going to still remove it. They're still going to remove it anyway. Yeah. And I had it for such a long time that, I don't know. That's where I'm at a loss right now. But I was getting depressed about it.
Right.
And then I thought about, wait a second, I see all these other kids, at St. Jude Hospital and all this stuff. And I go, wait a second. There's people going through a lot worse than I am. I'm living in one of the best times in history to get, up to this point, to get ill. And no pun intended, I don't mean COVID-19.
Right.
I can deal with it, and it may, I have some people reaching out to help, so that's pretty nice. So I will once something new happens, but it's good. Right now it's July 28th. It was funny. I was talking to Steve. I was talking to the surgical coordinator. Do you know what that is?
Okay. I don't know. Probably works for a hospital or something. Or?
They work for the physician, but there's all sorts of ones. I guess they have them for hospitals too. But for a specialist, they have a surgical coordinator who works for a practice, and they set up operations at different hospitals and schedule them. They check for availability, where the doctor has privileges. And due to COVID-19, there was a lot of people that had voluntary, had non-life-threatening procedures, so they're all backed up.
Yeah,
all backed up. So
yeah.
And originally when I talked to her yesterday, I'm thinking, I jumped the gun. I figured July because no one wants to get it done July 4th. I figure maybe 3 weeks, right? A little, but end of July. They first said August, and then, I guess I'm lucky it's not in September or October.
Right.
So I hope there's no hurricane by then. And I hope the listeners don't get it. It's not that I'm just grounded in me. I just want to get it over with. I realize other people have things to do. So other than that, I moved on from that, I'm taking care of business, so we don't have to talk about it. But there are a lot of people in the Keys now.
Yeah, unfortunately. No, that's
Unfortunately,
good for you though. Good for business.
yeah. What
Good for
happened?
business.
What experiences have you had with that?
I just, I'm nervous that our cases are going to spike down here. That's all. So I'm a little nervous about that. But I mean, there's two sides to it. So
Oh yeah,
I'm glad
yeah. I'm
people
not.
are.
Hey, I get the debate at work all the time
Yeah.
because the owners want to still practice the safe distancing and the covering to protect, but the county decided that it's up to the business owner.
Right.
So the way people interpret it says, well, Monroe County says now that you don't have to do it, and they read it part of it. Yeah, you don't have to do it if the business owner doesn't require it.
Hmm.
They kind of, they wanted to do a pullback. It was a 3-2 split on a board of
Right.
county commissioners. Um, the people are. I had people last night. They come in and they hassle people about wearing the mask when they're wearing the mask in.
Uh-huh.
After telling me they have immune system problems, some of them don't believe it. Some of them do believe it. It's kind of split for the guy in charge right now. There's a lot of people that kind of support him, right? But they
Right.
still worried about getting sick. So it's a
Hmm.
conundrum, you know.
Right.
I mean, if you were a fan,
Definitely. Yeah.
yeah. If you were pick a, if you were a fan of heavy metal in
Hmm.
the '90s, but you were anti-drug, you would also be in a classic conundrum,
Yeah.
right?
Pretty much.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying they're any more than any other of the music genres is, but you're anti-drug, and then you'd be running. You say some of the people that are involved are pro, are really into it. So that's what we're getting. People
Right.
come in at the restaurant and saying, "Hey, wear a flag," and they're kind of spreading out, and they're
Hmm.
waiting for you to tell them, "Hey, try to restrict it," because they want to act like they're having their freedoms curtailed.
Right.
But it's a
Right.
restaurant. It's not freedom. Freedom. You can running into fields and the water and all that stuff. That's freedom. But when you're on someone's property, it's not freedom.
Right.
You don't have the right to practice your freedom. You can't you can't start firing up in the air. You can't have a megaphone and start announcing your bullshit theories and all that
Right.
stuff. So that's what we're dealing with now. And we thought in the beginning uh, when they opened up the checkpoints that the problem would be with the tourists.
Hmm.
Now some of them have gone and read the signs and saw that masks were required, and they just turned around and got in their vehicles. But the biggest hassles we got, the biggest argument and flack, is from the locals.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of a shock, isn't it?
What are they? What are they? What are they saying?
Um, Let me give you the low side. On the low side, a real rare thing is people complaining about places not adhering to being safe, right? So we get a
Right.
little of that
Okay.
complaint,
Yeah.
a little. But the big one is, hey, why do we have to wear masks? You don't have to wear a mask anymore. It's all and why can't we sit at the bar wherever we want? And we said, it's got to be 6 feet. But I know these people, and
Right.
someone said that yesterday. They
But what? I don't. Yeah.
they sat at a table, and the person that sat before them said, "Oh, I know them. I know
Oh,
them. It's all
so
right."
they don't have coronavirus then.
Yeah, and then I said, "Do you know them well enough to tongue kiss them?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "Well, you don't know them that well then." So,
Right.
yeah. So did I tell you about the lady? And I did tell briefly about the show. Um, the one incident was really funny, and this lady walked in on Saturday night, and she said, um, she asked a couple questions, and the last question was, if we caught some fish, would you cook it for us?
Uh-huh.
If we caught some fish, would you cook it for us? And we said,
Sure.
yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then I said, make sure you come here by 10 o'clock. We close by 10 o'clock. And she goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I'll definitely be here by 10 o'clock. And, and then she says, at least we're not Muslim. And leaves on that note. Yeah. Yeah. At least we're not Muslim. And we go like this. And we go, what a non segued conversation.
Yeah.
What the
Is that
fuck did that
necessary?
mean? What did that mean, Natalie? So I'm Muslim. It was like, oh, I so want to make. It's like she was coming in. Okay, what I got to do is I got to walk in to the restaurant and don't get ahead of yourself, Lisa. But you want to ask them about the type of food you have. Yes, and about the fish. You got to ask about the fish. Whether if we catch a fish, where they cook the fish, and oh, you already caught the fish, and she's telling herself. And remember, when you leave, say something oddly racist, right? Try to make it
Right.
link. Well, it didn't link.
Yeah.
And at the end we go, even if if someone said something even worse than that, at least we would have got it. You know?
Yeah.
On this one, there was like, oh, this person is not only somewhat bigoted, she's
Thank you.
also insane.
Yeah.
Which could be the same. If you're bigoted, you could be insane. You know?
Yeah.
That may be a
Right.
disorder. And I'm thinking of all the other things. Think of all the things she could say. You know,
Right.
she could go, Asians can't drive well, right? Or she could say, women make horrible national leaders. Or, hey, the Jews control Hollywood. There you go. There's a whole bunch of other things, but with the food,
That could be
and she
fun.
said that about the food. She could have looked in the kitchen and made our kitchen is Latin, and she could have said something about them, but she chose not to. She said something
Yeah.
about something we have. We we get a very if we had to pick people of Muslim descent eating in our place, it'd have to be under 1%.
Hmm.
That apparently, with all the garb and all that stuff. So if it was all the garb, it could be like 0.2%,
Right.
right? I think we've had. And that could be one customer. So it was kind of weird to say. Not that we wouldn't welcome. We get all different people into our restaurant. But it's just, if Florida Keys
Hmm.
doesn't seem to be a place that you see Muslims wanting to take their vacation. But why in the hell would you say that at the end of that? It just was very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, and she wasn't done, Steve.
Really?
Yeah. Because you
What
got
did
to
she say?
remember, what did she ask? If we cook fish, they caught. And she had
Right.
the fish. So, about 5 minutes of 8. I'm pretty sure it's 5 minutes because I think she was only in there a minute and a half. And when I looked at my watch at the end of our interaction, it was 2 minutes to 10. And at 10 o'clock, our kitchen closes.
Right.
And there was no orders. There was no orders in our system. So if there's no orders being cooked, at 10 o'clock it's closed. Someone comes in after 10 o'clock. I'm sorry, we closed the kitchen.
Hmm.
So that's the rule of thumb. If someone came in 5 minutes before and ordered, until that's done, we're still taking orders. We could be open another like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So the lady walks in. It's 5 at 10. She looks at me. She has a cooler. And she goes, she covers up her face with her shirt. And she goes, I left my mask in the car. Do I have to go back to the car to get it? And I'm like, uh, well, if she goes back to the
Yeah.
car, it'll be after 10. You know what I mean? Walking this thing.
Right.
So I go say, at least have a seat. You know what I mean? If you have a seat, you can take your mask off. You shouldn't be
Hmm.
standing there without a mask. So I said, at least take a seat. And she goes, what? Take a seat? And she says it again. And then she goes like that head nod and the thing
Yeah.
side to side. Take a seat.
Oh my
And I go,
God.
wow. I have no. And there was a guy there named Ted, who's a friend of mine from.
Mm-hmm.
He's a nurse. He works. He's from the Philly area, and he. I don't know why I specified that, but he's sitting there, and he listens to the show, and he said, "I don't have any idea what just happened there." But she got really angry, and she stormed out, and she got in the car and slammed the door, and it was in the front of the restaurant, and Kathy, the owner, was talking to a friend of hers in the back, and she said she heard the door slam on the car.
Wow.
So that lady took off
Yeah.
with at 10 o'clock to get her fish cooked when there's only one restaurant in town that stays open past 10. You know, and
What's
that's
that?
Cafe Largo. She'd have
Cafe
to
Largo.
figure out, in the next hour. I don't think she'd call around. She
Yeah.
may call one place and may say, "Hey, check out Cafe Largo," but who would know? Maybe she eventually was someone say, "Have a seat," and then she goes, "Well, I guess that's something people say." You know,
It's so weird.
I guess they don't mean. She'll say something like, "At least we're not Muslim," and like throw that off as saying, but you ask her to take a seat, she flips the fuck out. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yep, it's amazing.
That was a
So
trip.
we had that was the winner of this week's
Yeah, that's a
behavior.
good one. Is she a local?
No, no, it's not
No.
local. Oh, and yesterday, I don't know if this guy listens to. I think this person has a lot of access to medical marijuana because they're ordering food, and
Mm-hmm.
the waitress is ordering the food to go. It's over the phone, and she repeats back the order to him, and
Yeah.
and it was like this, that, and she says, "I heard him. I read the order back to her, then confirmed everything." So when it came to fish baskets, she said, "Well, should I get a fish basket, clam basket, or a shrimp basket? I guess the shrimp basket be enough um, for the kids." And then
Uh,
we have so and so, and he says, "Well, wait a second. I got one of these things which he didn't order, didn't get, and he says I'm allergic to shrimp, right?
right.
But the shrimp wasn't for him." He said it was when he was on the phone. I know it's a small thing, but the person that took the order said, I went over this with him. We had a conversation. I confirmed the name of the items he ordered, and he came back. He said he didn't get the two, but I'm looking at the sheet, the order sheet, and the order sheet's exactly what he got. So
Uh,
I was interested. But what are you going to do? It's where we don't have a recording or something like that, so we go and say, "Okay, come on, we'll replace that." You know.
right.
And you notice I didn't make any. I did suggest that he had access to medical marijuana and stuff like that. But I mean, what's the other choice? Someone repeats the order
Mm-hmm.
back and say, you know, the girl was 100% off. That's it. But that's interesting. We didn't have that when coronavirus. We didn't have any. Well, obviously there was no business. There was no customer interaction. We do get people asking, "When is the band? Are you going to have a band?" Now we have a tiny place, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, if you have a band, you're going to takes up like tables for 8 people that would have to be distanced, and then the people, you couldn't have like 15 people up there dancing if they came. We're across from the government center, and they came by and you saw
Right.
like 20 people on the dance floors a dance floor the size of a small bathroom. You know,
Yeah.
they're not.
Yeah, it's tight in there. It's
Yeah.
pretty tight.
So, but that's what we're dealing with here. But otherwise, the people that are visiting are just great. I don't know where they're coming from. Some of them they
Mm-hmm.
just want to come in. One woman had a seizure last week
Really? In the restaurant?
in a restaurant. Just had a seizure.
Uh,
It was last Wednesday. But that was the thing she does. They don't want anybody to call the
Yeah.
911. So they're out
Uh-huh.
in force, and it's building up. More and more people coming out. They're starting to travel. More people flying in. If you
Right.
think about it, they want. If you're in one of the quarantine states, where are you going to go? Like I can imagine L.A.
Yeah.
and all those places. The Keys are the place to come. Now I don't know how
Sure.
you gauge it, whether how safe it is. What do
Well, it's
you
not going
do?
to be safe for long.
What?
It's not going to be safe for long now.
Um, no, no, not probably not. But I mean, uh, we're living in a place where, like now, Publix they don't require a mask, right?
They don't.
No, the Circle K stopped doing it. Um, I went in there yesterday morning, and they didn't. Yeah, they didn't
I thought
require
it
a
was.
mask.
We were just up there. I don't know. I saw everybody
Some places
seemed
were
happy.
requiring, and I'm sure everyone's anecdotal again, that
Yeah.
the gas stations don't want people to come in because they don't want you to wear a mask
Right.
because they're used to seeing people coming in masks. When they come in mask, they get robbed. So
Hmm.
they don't have to hide. Guys can walk in with a mask, and they don't even have to pretend not to. You just have the kerchief on your face.
Right.
I mean, you can hoodies with your thing up. Excuse me, I'm gonna cough. So I can see how that would be an issue. You're right. Well, they're saying that the numbers. Oh well, no, the numbers are the numbers. Some people, they're just disagreeing with the numbers now. They just say there's
Right.
having arguments over math. What is this
Yeah.
number? How many were this? Or is this really a death and all that? So they're probably in
Right.
some states they're just saying, well, no, they died of heart failure. Heart failure due to COVID-19? No, just heart failure. They may have had COVID-19, but the heart killed them. So they're jimmying the numbers. It really, in the long run, if it restricts them from doing anything to stop it, then it really doesn't
Hmm.
matter. They just want to look good. There's still going to be a lot of people dying, a lot more people dying. They were going to open up no matter what,
Yeah.
right? They were going to
Oh
open up
yeah.
no matter what. And the guy says, I don't care. I'm not going to close again. So it seems to be like, unless there was like a million dead, they won't close down. And if there's a big resurgence, they're
Well,
gambling. They're gambling right now with their numbers because
that,
his numbers are
that's exactly
really
what it
low
is.
right now.
Yeah.
It's like it's the lowest they've been for him. So if he
For
ducks
who?
it ducks to 30, he's at 38%. If he ducks to below 30, then I don't know what happens. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff gave a commencement
Yeah.
speech at a war college.
Yeah.
Did you hear
Right.
about it?
Didn't. Yeah. Didn't he say something about, I don't know, regretting something?
Yeah, being ready, regretted for being participating in the photo
Of
opportunity, and him
church.
marching to the church and
Yeah.
holding up a Bible like it was a box of condoms, So or raisin bran or whatever. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I never seen anybody hold one like that. Here we go. It was like him going up, going, well, here's a church, here's a Bible, sir. That's upside down. Well, here's a Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he could have done anything. He could have walked anywhere in front of it. Walked in front of an adult, let's say. He could walk in front of a massage parlor and hold up a condom. What could he do? What places could he go? Just hold up like a
Yeah.
cheesecake factory. Hold up like a
Yeah.
marble caramel slice.
Well,
That'd be good.
Burger King, hold up a burger. Yeah.
Yeah. Go to PF Chang's and hold up a steaming bowl of wonton. You know,
Right. An egg
or
roll. Yeah.
yeah, or Victoria's Secret and one of their sexy mannequins. You know what I'm talking about, Steve.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you've been there. Like you go to the. You ever go with Lizzie when she goes
To
shopping?
like shop shop
Abby
for that kind
goes.
of stuff.
She goes. You can go inside and you can walk
Yeah,
around, and there's only certain
right.
places you can really hang out. And then you go, well, I
Yeah,
really can't hang out here too long because it's kind of creepy unless she's there.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you got to go and sit
Yeah,
outside.
a couple times.
Yeah, but you don't want to sit right in front of Victoria's Secrets.
Right. Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
you
the
got to have
creepiest.
something to
Yeah.
read because you don't want to just stare into Victoria's Secret.
I mean, if you're going in there, you need to be with like a girl, Otherwise, it looks
Well, unless you're
very
buying
strange.
something. If you're buying something, it's no
That could
problem.
be it.
But if you're
Yeah,
waiting and not looking, it's really apparent.
yeah. If you're just like milling around creepily,
Yeah.
that's not good.
You go and look at it and go and say, "Hey, does these panties come into for hefty girls?" And what do you mean by hefty? So on my size. So Abby gets this thing
Yeah,
when
that's
she
not
goes.
good.
She gets a coupon, and it's like $10 off, $20 off, bonus, and all
Hmm.
this stuff. And I say it's almost like you're losing money if you don't go there. And she goes, exactly like that. It's always that you spend. Yeah. So, but it's always like me. If you go, for me, it'd be someplace like not exactly the Genius store, but Brookstone. Brookstone, the Brookstone store. Are they still
Hmm.
around?
I don't. I haven't even been in a mall in ages, so I can tell you.
Brookstone, Brookstone is the one with all the little gadgets when it first came out with Bluetooth
Yeah, yeah,
speakers.
yeah. Like
Uh,
a sharper image on.
yeah, drones, all this like the
Yeah,
bladeless fan, any
yeah.
tech stuff that comes up, and there's always something new right now. Like I, I like the little AirPods, right?
Hmm.
Where you put your ear and they got the charger. The box is the charger,
Yeah.
and it charges it up for 30 hours, and you don't have to plug it in. So people forget, and when they more they let. We get so lazy. You give us more time.
Hmm.
It's like when you get a car and there's a huge fuel tank in it, and it goes 400 miles on a tank of gas, right?
Right.
You still run out of gas.
Yeah. Right. You
Yeah,
just don't.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like with electric vehicle, electric vehicles now it's like the Tesla's in a 320, 325, and then they're going to come out with the 400 probably sometime this year, and then next year 500, and there's people who are just going to run out of charge. And there'll be chargers all over the place. They always do.
Right.
Run out. I mean, the United States is one of the things to have. Um, they, in other parts of the world, when the people say, "What do you do?" I just fill up. I work at the interstate. And I take care of people's flat tires, and when they run out of gas, you go, "What do you mean you run out of gas? How far apart are the gas stations? A block? You know, a
Yeah.
block?" Because these people are going like 10 miles round trip to get enough water for their cooking and washing for the day, and have to carry it back to their house.
Right.
And they're listening to us running out of gas, or have to,
Yeah.
we spend $3. Or we go say, oh, we'll just call the Grubhub, and they get the person to deliver a half gallon of um, almond milk
Right.
because I don't feel like getting it. So
Lazy.
I don't know. That must have unveiled my veiled swipe at consumerism and our laziness here. I yeah, I had a car that had no gas gauge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a Galaxy, a 1970 Galaxy. It was 1980, 81, 82. It was a big
Hmm.
copper-colored Galaxy. Actually, a nun almost fell outside of the car. A nun,
She what?
a Catholic nun, almost fell
Yeah.
out of the passenger side of the car
Oh,
because
really?
besides the gas gauge not working, the door. It was beautiful on the outside. There's no dents or anything like that, but the car was possessed. So I was driving these girls I know and this nun. I know it sounds like a story. I had these high school girls and a nun. I was in high school, so it was all right. So I'm driving. We're coming from someplace. I was like, here's my nerd thing. I was president of the National Honor Society, and there was girls in the National Honor Society, so I'd drive them around, and we go to these inter-club meetings in the Philadelphia area. And the nun came with us, and I said, "Oh, I'll drive her back, and all that stuff." And I got in the car. I think we were getting out to leave, and the door opens on her side. It was a big ass, it was the Galaxy's a coupe, so it had the 300-pound door, and that door swung out. Almost took out a small car. And the nun almost fell out of there. That would have been something. That would have changed my life.
Yeah.
The year I was graduating high school, a nun, I ran over a nun with my Galaxy. So.
Yeah, that would not be good.
I just remember the door opening up, and she's like, "Whoa!" But she's not hanging out like one of those movies. That would be pretty neat. And I took a lady who was 80 years old who was a public speaker. Her name was Maggie Kuhn, and Kuhn. She was leader of this group called the Gray Panthers. It was a national group. She was in the national news and all that stuff, and she was a leader of this rights group for senior citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And I drove her in that car too. And I don't think the car door opened for her. And she was pretty cool. She was like this. She was like a hippie lady, 80 years old. She looked 80, but she dressed like kind of like a hippie, but had the gray hair and short gray hair. And then I dropped her off, and she lived in a house in this kind of like artsy section of the city, and she lived with like 6 other people that were like 50 years younger than her. Like playing
weird.
bongos.
Yeah.
And shit. Yeah, it was pretty weird. I don't know how we got there. What were we talking about? A nun falling out of a car, having a car without a fuel gauge.
Right.
And I ran out of gas once. Because in that car must have burnt. Yeah, it had a small 8, but it still burned a lot of fuel. And I would just always put like $5 in it. And $5 was like a half a tank back then.
Right.
Yeah. You could buy a cheeseburger for a nickel. What? Oh, I would say $5 fill half. Yeah, $5 give it half a tank back then. It was something crazy. It was like 45 cents, 50 cents, 1982. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think gas prices are one thing that didn't get really crazy in the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah, that's true.
It's only like 4 times more, and if it's 4 times more than they are right now, then people are making 4 times more, so it's the same.
Yeah. Cost of living, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you remember going to the corner store in a 7-Eleven. You have kids' economics. Kids know how much a hot dog costs, a burger, fries, comic book, Slurpee.
Right.
Oh, the ice cream truck. Like, what did you need when you went out to the ice cream truck? What was the minimum amount of money you needed?
Like 50 cents.
Okay. When I was growing up, I'm a little older than you, just a little. And in Maryland on the bases, it was $10 for a push-up pop. $10, 10 cents.
Come on.
$10.
Oh.
I was like post-Civil War Atlanta. No, for a push-up pop. And like 25 cents for a strawberry chocolatey Eclair, good humor popsicle.
Right.
And their advertising on the commercial when I was a little younger than that was if you got a cheeseburger, fries, and a soda, you got change back from $1.
Right.
Yeah. But then again, guys are happy to be making $8,000 a year.
Right. True.
So.
Yeah. It's all relative.
It's all relative, yep. Now, healthcare, on the other hand, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one baby. You just give them a baby. If you give like some born again Christian a baby, you can have a surgery. You can have another baby. That should be like the trading for like instead of paying for health care when you get a baby, right? If you have to give birth, if you give birth to
Right.
twins, you say, well, I'll keep one. You can keep the other, and that'll pay for it. And you just sell it.
Right.
So I'll just pick the eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'll pick that one with the birthmark right there. So, well, I mean, what the hell? I'm coming up with solutions. We need hard solutions for hard times. So,
For sure.
yeah, and you're still working from home, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be working from home forever.
So what time do you
Pretty
start
much.
in the morning?
I'm usually online at around 6:30 or
7.
7.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Till
I usually log off around 4:30 ish.
wow,
So
that's a long day.
yeah, I'm online. Yeah, I'm usually I'm online for about about 9 or 10 hours probably. So,
Wow. So
but
that's
it's not as it's not like because I don't have to commute. I don't have
yeah.
to go get lunch. I don't, so I mean, it's not like I'm sitting at my computer glued to it for 9 hours straight.
No, no, I understand.
Yeah. So I
I
log on
think they're
around
gonna. I think they're
6 or 7.
gonna do the math to these things afterwards. These
Yeah.
companies and a lot of companies are going to see they don't need to be
Right.
effective, and that their people can be more effective working from
Oh yeah.
home. And if they see the
Absolutely.
efficiency go up, and that they could pay people, maybe they'll be able to pay people more, get more productivity out of them, and
Right.
they need to pay less for space. There's a whole bunch of places. Like obviously, if you're working
Right.
retail,
Yeah.
or you got to provide things or things to go out. You have installations to do. You need an office. But I was talking to some guy the other day, and I said, "Well, you know what? The office parks may be a thing
Yeah.
of the past, and the next big movement will be people to
Hmm.
convert. Think about it. People commuted and they're in suburbs and they didn't want to drive downtown, and now they're not able
Right.
to go downtown. They don't have a reason to go downtown,
Yeah.
so now maybe they need to go move downtown.
Yeah.
You get it? Because you go into work, and after work you go out and stuff like that. Well, you're living in, let's say you're in Philadelphia, and I'll pick up a suburb. I'll say Hatfield. You live in Hatfield.
Hmm.
And Hatfield, they have some places to go and stuff like that. That's pretty much it. But after work in Philly, before you catch your train, I don't know if the train actually went up to Hatfield or anything like that. You go to one of the bars, you hang out till 10 o'clock, get home bar, get home around 11:30. You know,
Right. Right. Yeah.
go out to lunch and stuff like that. You go, wow, they're going to miss that, and it's going to really change things. I think it's going to change things
Definitely.
subtly. It's going to change over time. People say we really don't need to be in work. They got all these apps. Google just came up with a new update to its meeting app.
Hmm.
Their new addition, I think it's Google. It really shuts down the noise, the background noise, and
Oh yeah.
only focuses on spoken words.
Oh wow.
So
That's
if you're
cool.
eating potato chips, they'll see you eating potato chips or eating popcorn, but they won't hear that happening in the background. You
Right.
know, unless you're like Peter Frampton playing his guitar, and making it
Yeah.
talk.
My company is already talking about like reducing the footprint as far as office space. So
Uh
yeah,
huh.
I definitely that's where it's headed. So
Mm. Well, so they started doing it a long time ago when they didn't really need people. They needed people spread out. Let's say if you're a
right.
claims guy, an insurance claims guy, it's great if your company was in Fort Lauderdale, but you lived in the Keys,
Yeah.
and you're going to handle claims. That's the way the insurance model worked. but a lot of other ones are that way. I mean,
Hmm.
if you have a group of salespeople, why in the hell would you have salespeople in one location? You want them all over the place.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. So,
Makes sense.
yep. So, what are your plans coming up? Are you going out? Did how like I know on Sunday you like watching NASCAR, but
Yeah,
what are you doing?
we've been just coming up and visiting you for NASCAR.
Uh-huh.
You know,
I'll try to remember. I've been
um,
putting the cornhole championship on and stuff like that.
no, no, you haven't.
I think cornhole is especially set for that because the guys wear their mask and they throw their corn bags at the
Yeah.
and listener, if you want to hear cornhole is that's like two wooden pieces of boxes with holes in it, and they're 50 feet away from each other, something like that,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
and they throw them back and forth, and they're like bowlers, but not as good a shape.
Right.
Yeah, and the great thing about that with COVID-19, no one was going to see it anyway. They never had any people. Hey, going to go down to
Right.
the cornhole championship because it's not suited for it because you really don't see anything. They got to show a close up. It's made for the TV, but even it's funny because cornhole showed up like last year. I'm surprised
Hmm.
people show it. They show it on television.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's crazy.
There's a lot of weird sports out there. There was
Yep.
at the Key Largo Park 4 weeks ago when I was there one time. These guys
Hmm.
came, older guys, and they were like a couple years older than me, and they were setting up these stakes in the park, and they had
Yeah.
it was a metal stake, and they had a round basket, two round baskets, a small round basket up top, and a wider basket
Okay.
in the middle. What do you think
Frisbee
it
golf.
was?
Oh,
Well, yes, it was. Yes, it was. They
yeah.
set up two of them,
Yeah.
and they go play
I
back and
know that.
forth. Yeah, play back and forth.
Yeah,
So,
frisbee golf. Yeah, that's
Fris-
really big in Austin where I went to
yeah,
school. So yeah, very big.
call me a nerd, but I would love to. I mean, I mean, that looks fun. If you know how to throw a frisbee, that's. But that's a lot of work. It's not like hitting a ball. Like you don't go to a driving range, really, do you?
No,
If you're going to
no.
practice
I
that, you got
mean,
to have someone stand near the pin and throw it back and forth, back and forth. That's it.
yeah,
You know?
pretty much.
Yeah, and tell them to move over there, move over here, move over there. Then I'll know how to throw it.
Well,
You
they
know.
have full courses and set up in the parks around Austin. So
But are they just
you
golf
can go.
courses converted to it?
Um, some of them, or some of them are just are just for that only. They just have the pins set up all over the place.
Yeah.
So
I used to play that
it's
frisbee football,
what is it?
ultimate frisbee. I think it was. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
I don't know how we got the rules to it, but it was in high school, right?
right.
And we set up those little hockey nets or um, field hockey
Uh-huh.
nets, and
Yeah,
you'd pass it. You can't really. We weren't allowed to run with it. You're not allowed to run with the frisbee, right? You could throw it,
right. Yeah.
and
Hmm.
you run it, and then I think you. I didn't know if you could go a couple steps or anything. I think you had to throw it. You couldn't run with the frisbee. Pretty cool. I think
Right.
you get it and you try to get it to
Yeah.
someone
I
near the
played that.
net, and then you throw it in the net. And it always used to suck for the guy in the net because you'd be the frisbee coming in, and then yeah, you can just whip it into really wherever you want. It's not like a hockey puck.
Right.
I mean, those guys are
Yeah.
pretty awesome the way they shuttle that puck into it. But did
Right.
you ever try that?
Yeah. The frisbee football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah, I have played that. So they played that in Austin as well.
Yeah, that was fun.
Pretty cool. Pretty fun.
Yeah, yeah. So we could do that here in the Keys, but I don't think you can't get anybody to do that really. The guys would be out there drunk or high.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Get someone to run into a tree.
Oh
Something
yeah,
like
that'd be
that.
a
Or
mess.
run into a car. It's just a mess.
So
Yeah.
go get a pickup game with a bunch of guys from the Caribbean Club. Yeah, yeah. There
Oh,
you go.
those guys. Yeah. They tell them to run. Okay, you can't run. I'm not running. I'm not going to run. So, well, listen. Thank you for. Do you have anything you want to pitch? Do you have any special comic books?
I mean, I have a lot of things for sale right now. Just check me out on eBay under Key Largo Comics. I have a wide array of goods for sale.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that sounds great. Key Largo Comics. Find them. And if you're folks listening, if you do us a favor and share our show with your friends and family, one, Steve, just in case one of our listeners was listening to the show and they always say my voice is very low and yours is normal, and I told him it's the
Hmm.
it was weird. It was the broadcasting app he was using. It was the app he was using to listen to podcasts. I don't know why that would happen, because I listened to the one we both listened
Yeah.
to the one I recorded on Spreaker, and we listened to on iTunes, and we listened on iHeart, and it was all the same quality. You can hear the voice, but
Uh,
it was on his.
okay.
My volume dropped down real low, which I really don't understand. So unless they fix it, I think there's some of these down the down the line broadcasting apps are kind of using different technology. That's what I want to say. I don't want to say shitty technology, but different technology.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so listen to us on those major share friends, share iTunes, share that. Leave a review. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll try to get more stuff out there, but for now, because I'm going through some health things, I'm working. So I want to get that tended to, and then we'll come back strong. But it is show 294 today, Steve. So 6 more
Oh, well.
shows going to 300.